What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Poll Rundown, episode 13. We're back from a little bit of a hiatus, I guess. It's been a while since we've had a poll worthy of a Poll Rundown episode. This is a doozy, so let's get right into it. This is the Piscatora shithead outfit edition of Poll Rundown. And I've got my new setup, which if you've been on the stream, you may have seen. If not, whatever. But this is the new setup. Not that that's going to change anything, but let's jump right into the poll. Here we go. So this is the near miss poll. It's a very, just kind of, let me just say this before we jump into any questions. This poll itself is rather controversial because all of this stuff is being brought to vote because it didn't pass initially. Jagex also handpicked the things that would be repolled. There's a lot of stuff that got to 74%, 73%, however close, and is not being repolled. There's also somewhat of a, hey Jagex, why are you screwing over the people who voted no and, disregarding the process that you said was the way to go? It's a little interesting on that front, but opinions do change, and so while I do agree that things change over time, I definitely do not agree with the idea of ignoring what a certain chunk of the player base said at one time and kind of just saying, screw you. But that's beside the point. Trust me, that's not with any spite. None of these things are really game-breaking at all, so honestly, I have no problem with any of them. We're starting off with a bunch of Clan Wars questions, and honestly, very surprised that these didn't pass initially. I don't know what people were thinking, but they're basically, these first three questions are all very, very simple, and they're all based off of new game modes for Clan Wars and new maps and all kinds of new stuff like that. So the first one is timed deathmatch. Pretty simple concept. Put a number on the clock. Whoever can get the most kills in that amount of time wins the round. Sure, why not? Why not add more flavor to Clan Wars? I don't see why. Again, with these ones, I don't see why people voted no. I assume it had to do with something like keep Clan Wars the way it was originally, that kind of thing. I think that's silly. There was nothing pure about Clan Wars, at least in my eyes. And you don't have to play the games if you don't want to. Question number 2. This is called Team Odd Skull. Clans would compete to hold a skull. So this is like, if you've ever played Halo before, there's a game mode that is very much like this. You hold the skull, and while you kill with the skull, you get more points, I think is basically, and you hold the skull, you get points. I love the idea. It adds definitely variety to Clan Wars, and I hope that the clans of the RuneScape world, the old school world, can actually take advantage of it, because I'd love to see Odd Skull get very competitive. Moving on, should we make some small changes to the Clan Wars Classic map to make it more like the original, or rather make it play more like the original? This is almost certainly passing. Let's make it older and make more like old school. Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm all for that. Too much in old school. We're trying to move forward instead of move back. And I know, of course, that's moving forward is very important. But when you can move back and it doesn't, and it's kind of moving forward, well, addition by subtraction, if you will, I'm all for it. Question number 4: should the wilderness bosses drop very rare pets of themselves? More pets? Yes, I would love to see Callisto. I would love to see Boderman, and I would love, well, okay, let's be real, I really don't care if Edion gets a pet or not. Little skeleton, it'd be cool, but I don't really care. But little bears and spoders running around, I think is hilarious. Also, there's no reason why this shouldn't have passed in the first place. The wildy bosses need more attention, and their items are honestly like inflated in price just because they are a little bit too difficult to kill. So this at least gives some more incentive to killing those bosses. And as always, welcome to BarrowsBOY's life. Increases wilderness activity. Yes. In addition, should we add a very rare Scorpia pet to the Scorpia drop table? I imagine a lot of people who kill Scorpia are voting no to this. I'm voting yes because, again, little Scorpion is so adorable. But also, it's definitely a boss that is worthy of getting a pet. Out of all the demi-bosses, it is certainly the hardest, it is certainly the most risky, and it is, again, it's just worthy of getting a pet. So I am all for it. But there are obviously reasons to vote no. You could ruin, you could ruin Scorpia. Prices will go up on those shields because more people are out there. Who knows? Either way, I personally am voting yes. Should we replace the wilderness ditch with a less intrusive barrier that offers the same level of protection, against luring? Players would be given a warning toggle when attempting to run past the barrier. This warning would be toggleable. I already said that. I said toggle. I already put that in my sentence. I'm not even reading these. I just kind of take them from my head. Because I do actually go through these polls. Believe it or not, I look through them beforehand and do my research and make sure I know as much as I can. As you've seen in past episodes, sometimes I do miss a few. But This is the most important question in this poll, or rather, it's the most controversial. It's not really important, honestly. As someone who's going to be doing a lot of runecrafting in the future, having no ditch would certainly increase my XP per hour just minusculely. But I think a lot of this question is convenience and nostalgia versus logic and protecting new players. I think that's the two schools of thought we have going on this one. I can tell you right now I'm voting no. I totally get voting yes, but it's definitely a selfish side. If you're voting no, you're voting to make sure luring doesn't come back into this game with, let's be honest, a fury. Part of luring, I think a lot of people don't realize, is that a failed lure attempt is still a waste of time for someone. Granted, adding the GE in does help with that, but it certainly doesn't stop it. Again, it's kind of like the scamming thing with the GE. The GE definitely gets rid of a lot of scamming, but anyone saying it completely, just nullifies any scamming at all, you're just wrong. Unfortunately, I wish you weren't, but that's just kind of the way this community works. There are assholes really just everywhere in the world, and RuneScape is no exception. So, taking away the ditch, you certainly give lures and people like that an easier time. However, you also are going back to an older time in RuneScape. Again, addition by subtraction. I do like making this game older, but when it comes to protecting the player base, and especially the player base that this game needs to grow, the new people who will be playing it coming into free-to-play very soon, I think the ditch was a good update when they made it, and I don't think we should take it out. It's one of those things that, just for me, you take it away, yes, you get some positives, but almost always with Jagex changing things or removing things or adding things, you may get some positives out of it, but in my opinion, the negatives far outweigh those positives. So I'm voting no. Again, two schools of thought on this one. If you would like to see RuneScape return to an older age and honestly a more fast-paced PKing, there's a lot more interesting things you can do with no ditch. Standing on that line, although that's still, you can still do that, but there are some things that change mechanically for PKing that I really enjoy, especially north of Varrock. That's a lot of what people have brought up, is like this north of Varrock scene is all about rushing. It really is. So that would certainly change things, but honestly, again, for me, negatives outweigh the positives. I'll stop rambling. Moving on. Question number 7. Should free-to-play players be able to use the teleblock spell? Excuse me, I just ate, and that was a weird burp in the middle of a sentence. This is a tough one. It's kind of controversial. I personally am voting yes, because I think that free-to-play PKing is far, far, far too ruled by people just teleporting once they get to 20 wilderness. It's hard enough in free-to-play. Armor definitely and defense definitely outweigh the offensive capabilities in free-to-play. So adding another offensive tool is fantastic. I think that really does help free-to-play PKing. If you vote no, I think it's definitely, you're on the side of nostalgia. You're thinking this is a member spell. You probably have some insight into how free-to-playing works yourself. But again, I don't think there's a lot of deep wildy free-to-play PKing as is. And if there is, once you get to 20 wild after tanking an entire team, because it's not hard. I've been in free-to-play PKing masses where the guy in full rune throws up Mage Prayer and just walks to level 20 until he's out. It's not crazy. It happens quite often in those situations. So I really do think that teleblock is helpful. Granted, this does, with free-to-play coming out, give a big leg up to anyone who trained in members' worlds, but that's something that's always existed in RuneScape. Members can go into free-to-play worlds. So, yes, I do think it should be made available. I think, again, negatives outweigh the positives. Or, excuse me, I think on this one, positives outweigh the negatives. But I definitely understand both viewpoints on this one. It's just, for me, I think yes. Either way, not going to make or break the game, certainly, but could be, a slight improvement in some people's eyes. Moving on, should items dropped inside the wilderness and PvP worlds appear instantly? This would prevent players griefing PKers by dropping items. This is a tricky one. Because so much of 07 PKing is based off of you dropping items and maybe going back and getting them. That's part of PKing. It has been for a while, and honestly, you call it griefing PKers, but the people who tend to drop things, I don't know. It is a griefing. It's definitely, I would rather you not get the item. I'm going to lose it. It's kind of, you're on the cusp of dying. You're running away. I would rather you lose the item and I lose the item than you get it. I don't want you to be rewarded for killing me. Good PKers know to look for that. Bad ones don't. That's definitely, for me, rewarding skill-based playing is definitely something I like to do, and I have voted for in the past. Vote for something that encourages skill-based gameplay, um, and doesn't reward laziness. So, on that front, you'd think I'd vote no or yes to removing the Wildy Ditch. Either way, um, I'm really not sure where I am on this one. I'd like to see where it is yes or no wise, but that would obviously sway my vote, so we're not going to do that. So again, I thought about this question a lot, but I thought I thought coming into the poll I'd have an answer for you guys in terms of what I'm voting, but at this point I just don't know. So I'm going to scroll past it. Honestly, I think yes is the right answer, but at the same time I want to vote no because it keeps things the way they are. So it's kind of, for me, I guess it's change versus what is better for the game, maybe. I don't know. The fact that Jagex titled it "This would prevent players griefing PKers" is certainly language that lends you to wanting to vote yes. It's like, oh, anti-troll, excellent. But at some point, I don't think that's so much trolling as it is just a person who's dying and either wants to get back to their stuff potentially, or, I don't know. So this one's tough for me. So I'm going to move on. I hope I gave you guys some information so you can get your vote decided. Me, on the other hand, I'm still thinking. Question number 9: should we allow players to hide messages from above their heads of other? So this is the auto chat filter question that came last update. The answer is yes, for the record. Basically, without reading this mumbo jumbo, when you filter, and have a look down here. When you filter your public chat to poop butt, everything that includes poop butt in the public chat will show up in the public chat. It'll show up in the box. However, what was not getting filtered was the messages above people's heads. So, as we covered in the last poll rundown, I think it was the last poll rundown, the things above people's heads are what you're looking for so you can find the person to trade. This would make those above head messages filtered as well as in the chat box. So yes, absolutely. If you're filtering the public chat, you don't want to see anything else but what you filtered. Yes, yes, yes. God, I hope this is passing, and I hope we don't have the same issue. It's one of those updates that Jagex should just have parsed through. There's no reason you would vote no to this. There really is no reason. And the only reason people voted no last time was because they were like, I don't know what this is. Sounds like a weird change. No. So, again, Jagex still walking that line very much of what they should be polling and what they shouldn't. That one, very clearly, you should be polling. We polled the auto chat. It passed. You put in a filter system. That wasn't voted on. Nobody voted on a filter system. Do what you want with it. Make it work. Moving on, question 10. Should you be able to press the spacebar to continue through NPC dialogue and use the number keys to select from options? I'm going to be the jerk on this one. I'm going to put no. I just like the point and click thing. This is totally the wrong way to be voting, but for me, I just like to be the stick up people's asses, right? I think yes is the way most people should vote. This makes a very tedious thing perfectly normal, but for me, I can't live with myself voting yes is kind of the thing. I just want this game to be as close to 2004 through 2007 as possible, and that chat option thing very much rings in a future RuneScape type thing. So I'm voting no, really just for nostalgia, but I think yes is the right answer here, honestly. But again, it would be very wrong of me to suddenly change my views and not vote in for something like that is really not a huge deal. Some people, of course, will get, I'm quitting because I can't constructionate faster. Makes construction a lot easier, let's put it that way. But I'm voting no. Should we change the accurate style of God Swords to slash rather than crush? Yes. There's no reason a God Sword should have crush. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason that the accuracy style on a God Sword should be basically handicapped. If you read the whole question, you'll learn that God Swords don't have much crush bonus. They have a crush attack. They do. It's the other strength option. But the accurate one, for some reason, isn't. No one trains attack with a God Sword, so this isn't changing any training methods. Yes. This should be that way. Because again, I hate that question. I'm just gonna move on from it very quickly. Should the message that appears in your chat box when a ring of recoil breaks be changed to a color that's more noticeable? Absolutely, makes things simpler. Obviously, this is one of those things that's skill cap, blah 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 blah. But it's a lot like a lot of other status effects in this game that get a highlighted color or get more attention. It's your piece of equipment breaking. It ought to pay, it ought to be more significant. I think that Barrow's items breaking ought to be more significant. There's a lot in this game that needs to be more significant in your chat box. Ring of Recoil is a good start. Should it be made possible to share super combat potions using the lunar spell boost potion share? Absolutely. There's no reason it shouldn't. That's just fundamental. This is the way the game works. That's the way it should work. Share potion is not something that people are exactly using too often, so I don't know what people are afraid of when it comes to this, but when people use it, they should be rewarded. Moving forward, should the requirement in the vote in content polls be increased from 280 total level to 300 total level and at least 25 hours played? Absolutely, yes, I do believe that. Voting through the in-game website is great, but making sure that people aren't creating extra accounts. And granted, getting an account 25 hours played is not difficult, but it's enough to keep some people away who are abusing the system and, getting a bunch of accounts to vote on. So absolutely, yes, anything that prevents that is a good thing to me. And it makes sure people are actually playing the game. Last two questions. Should we add a button to the main offer screen of the Grand Exchange that allows you to collect all unclaimed items in a single click? This would collect items from all ongoing offers without canceling the offers. I don't remember this question. I don't remember this being a near miss. I guess it was during the Grand Exchange poll. I honestly don't remember this question at all. I don't know why it's here. Maybe it's just kind of added. I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's cool. If you have a bunch of items in the GE and you decide you don't want to sell any of them, just having a blanket cancel all is kind of nice. And lastly, should we add a button to the worn equipment screen that allows you to price check your items? This is a GE question. I don't really understand. Again, the GE isn't out, so I'm very confused about this question. I looked at it at first and I was like, why is this a question right now? We don't have the ability to price check things right now. I don't know where it would be pulling those values. Perhaps the trading post. I'm not really sure at all. 100% have no idea where this is coming from. So it's one of those things that I don't think I can vote in this question. And god damn it, why isn't the abstain from voting option on this poll? Kill me now, because I honestly have no bloody clue how this works. I looked around, couldn't find anything, and you guys needed a video. So here we are making this video, and honestly, I have no idea. So please, if someone in the comments who's made it to the end of this video, you could please explain this to me, because as you know, I won't be voting until later on, because obviously things change, opinions change, and I won't necessarily keep you guys up to date with that. But keep in mind, I take time on these polls with my votes, and I usually, almost every poll, leave at least one question unanswered, so I have an excuse to go back and change other things, and I have in the past, so keep that in mind. Don't rush to vote. You might change your mind. Your mind might be changed by something. Either way, keep an open mind, read your devlogs. Thanks so much for joining me for Poll Rundown episode 13. Hope to see you soon. As always, I stream every day live on twitch.tv/BarrowsBOY. Feel free to come hang out. You can follow the Twitter, join the Steam group, or of course, head over to Twitch and follow there to know when I go live every single day. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.